Alrighty, welcome back everybody to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everyone's having a great Thursday night so far. Let me just see here, make sure everything's good. We are good. Let's see what we have here in the chat. We have Christian, Legacy, Catman, Survival, as well as Carson, Legacy. I might have repeated myself, it's late. Pez, let's see, the Conservative Model, and everyone else who's in the chat who I may have forgotten to welcome, or if you're just now tuning in, glad to have you in here. A little bit tired, so I may kind of stumble over my words a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and dive on into this. We've got quite a bit to talk about. We're going to go over our blend of models, some of our 0Z data, discuss some of the things that I want to point out before we start really diving on into more of the now casting part of this winter storm as impacts begin in about 12 to 16 hours. We'll start to see our impacts tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, somewhere right around there. We'll begin with those impacts across Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, those areas. So I wanted to just start with this map. Obviously, these are your watches and warnings. Not many changes over the last 12 hours or so. I should say really the last 6 hours ever since I was last live. Ever since yesterday, the newest additions obviously has been the more northern expansion of multiple watches and warnings back into the Midwestern and Northeastern portions of the U.S. Outside of that, we did get an upgrade to ice storm warnings back here in Mississippi, Tennessee, corner of Alabama, corner of Louisiana, and corner of Arkansas. Right in... If I just zoom in here, right in like the main north central part of Mississippi. So southeastern Arkansas, northeastern Louisiana, good chunk of northern Mississippi, 2 counties, northwest Alabama, and I believe that's 2 counties, maybe more. I can't exactly see the county lines there, but somewhere around about 2 counties in southwestern Tennessee. And of course, we've been seeing an upgrade in the last 24 hours with these winter storm watches going to warnings. We'll see an expansion of those warnings. We'll see more warnings come out. So don't worry. If you're in the blue in these areas here, there's a high chance you'll be issued a winter storm warning sometime tomorrow. The further west you are, the sooner that will be. For those out there in south central Illinois, if you're not under a winter storm warning, you'll be in one tomorrow morning. For those in Pennsylvania, if you're not under a winter storm warning, which the entire state of PA is not currently, you'll be in a winter storm warning probably tomorrow afternoon. And then up there in Boston, Massachusetts, Back out in New Hampshire, Maine, if you're under that winter storm watch, you'll be upgraded to the winter storm warning tomorrow evening or tomorrow night. So the further east you are, the later that warning will be tomorrow. And we are still generally looking at the same wording here from the National Weather Service across the board as what I was talking about 6 hours ago. If we go ahead and pull up my favorite site so far with this winter storm, you guys have seen it all too frequently. And here it is again, our national blend of models. Let's go ahead and turn on that new run. I haven't looked at this run yet. I waited until I went live to look at this new run to see what it shows with you guys. Let's see if this shows anything significant, anything more significant. Right off the bat, I can already tell you two things. Wow, Oklahoma is uptrended, and maybe a downtrend in eastern New York and into New Jersey right there. A little bit of a downtrend, it looks like, up there. If we could just compare those two from the model run we used in our earlier live stream and kind of just watch those two areas. Yeah, you can actually, looks like New York was already downtrending on the 19Z/18Z runs there. So a little bit of a downtrend occurring with snowfall totals out here. Not anything really, too crazy, but maybe just a less opportunity for people to get 20 inches of snowfall up there. And then again, like I said, maybe a bit of an uptrend, quite the bit of an uptrend out here in Oklahoma. Almost a better chance. Actually, it is a better chance for 20 inches of snow out here across Oklahoma than it is out there in New York. So, yeah, Catman, starting to turn on the jackpot for you, man. You are in a sweet spot. I mean, you could be a little more northwest, but let's not be picky. You're pretty much in a sweet spot of 20 inches of snow being a very real possibility now. And you can see that sweet spot still of a foot of snow going up into St. Louis, even all the way up through Louisville, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yes, Pez. Even going up all the way into New York City, still a hot spot of a foot of snowfall. And I don't want you to get too caught up in your exact totals. Either way, whichever way you put it, a foot of snowfall, 16 inches of snowfall, both are significant. Both are going to cause big impacts. Either way. So big time snow. That's really the big say so here. I don't want you to pay close attention by any means to those little red areas. These are going to shift, especially these little red areas. Now that big red area, that might not change as much because it's such a large area. But these tiny little red dots you see scattered around here, those are going to shift quite a bit as models shift a little east, a little north, a little south. That's going to happen. I want to check also our freezing rain here. Haven't seen the new run on that. Let's see where we've kind of shifted with that. It doesn't look too different right off the bat. Maybe the taddest bit more north in the mid-Atlantic. The tiniest bit more north in the mid-Atlantic and the tiniest bit more south in Arkansas and Mississippi. Quite a bit further south, actually, with that main 1 point, what is that? Like, yeah, 1 and a 20th inch of ice right there. Quite a bit more south. If you look here at the run 6 hours ago, that purple's well north of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And now, wait for that to load in. There you go. It's actually on, if not a little south there of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So I really think both of these areas are going to end up with a significant ice storm, but honestly, a little bit of a downtrend, to be honest, in the last 6 to 12 hours for folks out here across Virginia and North Carolina. We've seen a little bit of a downtrend in freezing rain and a bit of an uptick in sleet being a possibility. And we'll see if that continues into tomorrow. Now, remember, for folks out here, we're still about a day and a half, 2 days from impact. Whereas folks back out here, you guys are like a day from impact, maybe less. Maybe even less than that. So definitely, either way, preparations need to be rushed to completion tomorrow. Rush them to completion no matter where you are. Rush them to completion tomorrow. But to be honest, I think every Walmart in the central U.S. is like out of everything, out of the main stuff. The bread and milk is like gone from most Walmarts. We'll go back to our snowfall here. And even look at that, a little bit of 25 inches of snow sneaking through here on the average. Watch this, watch this. I don't want to say this is, a real possibility by any means, but just watch. This is a 1 in 10% chance of happening. Almost 40 inches of snow. That's what I was thinking. I think we got a little bit of an overdone amount of snowfall. That's what I was thinking. High end is over 3 feet. A 1 in 10% chance of 3 feet of snow. I doubt it. I think we're a little bit too high on these model runs. I think the 000Z runs are a little out of control here. We might need to kind of pull them back a little bit there. That's a bit crazy. Here's the official forecast from the National Weather Service. They're expecting about 9 inches of snow. That is way more reasonable. This may go up to a foot across much of Oklahoma here, but the reasonable amount is between 9 inches to a foot across much of northern Oklahoma and northeastern Oklahoma, even going just outside the panhandle here. OKC, you guys are at 6 inches. Expect that to be up to a foot. I think your expected amount will double in the next 24 hours. Because our newer guidance really doesn't agree with such low totals. I highly doubt you guys will be seeing 6 inches of snow. If we take a look here, you can't see it, but your low end, according to this, is 3 inches. Expected is 6, and high end is 11. I think that high end is going to actually be the expected amount tomorrow afternoon. And then, of course, widespread 9 inches to a foot expected across a huge chunk of Missouri, northern Arkansas. There is a bit of a question mark, though, that I would like to point out here once we switch to our model data, which I won't do just yet. I'll kind of run through this forecast first. Back out towards Evansville, Indiana, southern Illinois, a foot is expected there. Southeastern Missouri, foot is expected there. Going all the way back into Cincinnati, Ohio, 9 inches expected there, upwards of a foot being a very real possibility. I remember we had some people from Lexington. I told you guys a foot about a day or two ago. Still right on the number there. About a foot of snow expected there from the National Weather Service. And then the jackpot. The jackpot back out here, where we have a huge area of a foot or more of snow being possible. And I do think this should shift. These areas in here, I think, should shift north. I think these are too far to the south, especially going all the way down into Lynchburg. A foot of snow that far south, I don't really expect that. I think you guys are going to be changing into more of sleet and ice. And even in my area, they have upwards of 7 inches of snow around my region. I don't think so. I don't think that's really what we're going to see. However, we are trending towards more sleet here, so that could definitely help with those snow and sleet totals. And then back up into going well north. Honestly, a lot of uncertainty back up here. And I think the main reason why this forecast is on the low end is because it goes till Sunday night. I haven't looked exactly at the timing very closely, but let's just go ahead and check that because that's crucial. What about Monday? Yeah, see, the Northeast, your totals really come in Monday morning is when the biggest and heaviest snow comes in. And this official forecast is not that far out yet. So don't worry, you guys aren't going to see 2 inches of snow or 4 inches of snow over here. It's just the fact that we're a little bit too far out. These totals will be upped tomorrow. They will be increased tomorrow. Don't worry. It's just simply because we're a little bit too far out for the NWS to forecast totals that far to the Northeast right now. Back to our blend of models here. Once again, just to smooth that out for you guys. So if you're in that light blue, that's where we're anticipating a dusting to minimal snow. You could get a little bit of sleet that accumulates up to an inch in these light blue areas, but we're really not talking about anything significant snow-wise. Most of those areas I've just circled, we are talking about a critical and potentially catastrophic ice storm, especially if you are out in this area. We're really looking at that crippling, I think I said critical, crippling ice storm in this area, and potentially a crippling ice storm in like this region in here too. So really that area I've circled in black, we're not really talking about snow. We're really talking about ice. Once you get into that lighter blue here, a little bit darker, that's when we start talking about, maybe the possibility of some slightly higher totals, maybe 2 inches of snowfall in here. Really not too big, 1.5, maybe upwards of 2 inches of snow there. The color after that, which you can see how tight this is in Nashville. These areas are going to change. Right now, like for you, Legacy, this says 2 inches of snow. Tomorrow, it may say 4, and then the next day, it may go back down to 1. There's a lot of uncertainty in here because of your warm air advection and just where your low pressure is going to be located. So don't take those totals as if they are going to happen. You could see here on our European model run, we get a huge influx here of warm air from the Gulf, and that's going to greatly impact those snowfall totals. And it's also going to greatly shift those snowfall totals day to day based on how far north those models are putting it. But really, there's not been any major changes with the newest runs here. This is the 18Z Euro. And if you compare it to the 12Z, 12Z, 18Z, 12Z, 18Z, 12Z, 18Z, really nothing big. We'll go here to 12Z. Let's see, 12Z, 18Z, 12Z, 18Z. Really no big changes at all on the Euro. But here's the thing I want to point out. Which it's not that bad on the GFS. It's much worse on our high-res models. This gap right here can absolutely break your snowstorm. If this actually does come to fruition Saturday night, we could have a huge gap in our snowfall totals across. This shows Oklahoma, but it would probably be mainly into Missouri here. If I show you the higher res guidance, which it's going to take a little while to load. Actually, it was very fast today. Look at that. Look at that. I'll turn off the warning so you can see it a little bit better. A huge gap in precipitation here. We're talking about a 6 to 12 hour gap of precipitation in some spots. And that could be a giant issue for some higher end snowfall totals. Now, don't worry if you're looking at this and thinking, it's over, no snow, I quit, downtrend all over the place. No. This stuff fills right back in, and we're going to definitely achieve around what the NWS is saying. But if we do see this gap, that's going to decrease our chance of seeing any type of overperforming winter storm out of this for these regions. But I do think that gap will happen. It's just a matter of how long it lasts and how big is it. Because if it's a big gap like this, like I said, that's going to take like 6 hours to fill in. But if it's a smaller gap, like what the GFS has, where it's only like, this big, that could take 2 hours to fill in, maybe 1 hour to fill in. So that's a big question mark that we'll need to figure out going through the next 12 hours or so of our high-res guidance. Now let's check the HRRR00Z because we're in range to where I think the HRRR is good to use. Yesterday, people were using it 48 hours out and screaming bust. Now, I feel like we are in a good enough range to use the HRRR accurately. And you can see the HRRR, my goodness, talk about a ginormous lack of precipitation. Better hope that fills in, because if that happens, you can expect a significant dip in snowfall totals. That would be a big-time underperformance factor right there. Way bigger than any of the other gaps on any other of the other model runs here. But I do want to show you that even with this huge gap here, I know this is stressing Catman out like crazy. Even with this huge gap, the first bit of this snowstorm still delivers over a foot of snowfall in some spots in east central Oklahoma, and a giant portion of eastern Oklahoma still ends up with 6+ inches of snowfall from the first part of the winter storm. The second part would come later, which this model run doesn't go out to, and that would likely deliver an additional double snowfall totals. So if you have 6 inches on that first one in north central Oklahoma, it's probably going to get closer to 12. And whereas down here, I know this says 15, double it, that's like 30. But I think that's accounting for probably sleet. That might be accounting for some sleet and freezing rain too down in here, because that's like right where our mixing line is. So I think that might be having a bit of trouble depicting what is sleet and what is pure snow in southeastern Oklahoma. But really, we're just going to have to wait and see how this gap looks. Now, let's take a look at the NAM 3K, because I have not looked at that for our 00Z run. So we're going to wait for that to load in so we can take a look at that too, to see if that shows all of the dry air or not. And you can see how quick that gap fills in on the NAM. It still takes about 6 hours, but it's a lot quicker to fill in. So that gap is very evident. We'll just use Catman as an example. Let's go to Tulsa. Let's go to Catman. Snow stops at about 3 p.m. When does it fill back in? Ooh. Okay, you are going on about 8 hours there, so that is a little bit on the longer side there for Tulsa. But you can see that back end still comes in. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Look at that. That thing is going to absolutely dunk snowfall totals all across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. Even with that lack of precipitation, you can still bet on widespread 9 inches to a foot. Possibly even upwards to 2 feet in northern Oklahoma, southern Kansas, wherever that heaviest snow band sets up at first. Yeah, which you could see. This might even be going towards Tulsa. Yeah, like right in there on the NAM 3K. Right where those two big bands meet. So that's where the first band meets. That's where the second band meets. That's like right just north of OKC, almost over Tulsa right there on the NAM 3K. How much snow does that have? Yeah, look at the sweet spot. See, right over there. Pawnee, Oklahoma. Pawnee, Oklahoma. 15 inches, and the model's not even done. And also, wow, look at over here, southern Missouri. Sweet spot. Almost 20 inches here. So that gap is really, really gonna affect who sees the highest snowfall totals here. Let's go to the NAM. You can see the NAM is a little bit more aggressive with that gap. It takes almost a full 12 hours to fill in some spots. So that's what's probably going to prevent this from being a 2-footer in many spots. But it's not going to prevent us from getting much of the state of Oklahoma into the 6+ range for snowfall. Much of the state of Oklahoma there is going to be in the 6+ range. What's causing the gap? Probably our two systems not phasing quick enough. So we've got 2 systems here. We've got our first system, if I bring this back. Our first bit of this snowstorm is caused by our trough down here. And our second bit is going to be caused by a mixture of the back end of this trough and Canada's trough. And so if one's a little bit too fast, which you can see here, this one's a little bit too fast. See how it's already way out here in Tennessee? And this one is still just now arriving. So because we have that gap, it creates a lack of ascent and a lack of forcing across the area. And as you can see here, it creates that gap. I don't know why the precipitation went out further, but it creates that gap because one system is faster than the other. It's not a full phasing. The 700 millibar might show this a bit better. It's not fully phasing yet. Yeah, that shows it a bit better. There you go. See how you have one blob down here and a blob down here and a big blob up here. So this blob is outrunning this blob. If these blobs were closer to each other, we wouldn't have a big gap in the middle. That shows it a lot better than the 500 millibar. A lot better. And you can see with that second snowstorm, see how like all of this merges together? So that's why this second part of our storm is going to be a lot more amplified because you've got more digging. And that allows for more turning and more pulling. That allows for your low pressure to try to strengthen and pull that warmth up further and help amplify the system. Now, this would go like the opposite way if we were in the southern hemisphere. Again, because low pressures rotate in the northern hemisphere where we are in the U.S., your low pressures rotate like this. Southern hemisphere, opposite way. So that's 7. I love that 700 millibar. That really shows you clearly that this blob of energy is outrunning this blob. And that's what's causing that lack of precip right in the middle. Which I don't know. How close is that? Ooh, almost. I almost got it right. Remember, I'm not like huge on winter weather yet, so I'm learning this stuff too. I was almost right with that location of the dry slot. Also notice how it's a lot lighter snowfall up here too because of that lack. But regardless, we're going to have at least 2 heavy amounts of snowfall for like 6 hours each. So 12 hours as a whole across Oklahoma. It's just a matter of how much do they break apart. So you can see the first heavy bit right here starts at 06Z Saturday and lasts all the way until 18Z, 12 hours of that first one. Next one starts at about 06Z Sunday, all the way till about 15Z Sunday. So you're looking at almost 24 hours of straight up heavy snow in Oklahoma. And my word, Catman's dream right there. The print of 2 feet right over Oklahoma, right over Tulsa, right over Springfield, Missouri. Perfect print there of 2 feet of snowfall with both of those heavy bands going directly over Tulsa. Somebody's going to get a jackpot like that. Someone's going to get a jackpot. It may be closer to Oklahoma. It may be closer towards Fort Smith, Arkansas. Or it could even be as far north as... I don't think it would be as far north as like Kansas City. But it may be as far north as like Fort Scott, Kansas. Just somewhere in there. Somewhere in like right in here. Somebody's going to get that jackpot of 2 feet. Somebody in here. It just depends on where that line sets up. Now let's talk about the northeastern U.S. a little bit more of like the Midwest here. That first jackpot comes in here. The problem is with the Northeast is that system gets amplified behind it. So we get the first blob that comes in and it's relatively flat. Let me show you that on the 700 millibar again. See how can I really show this? See how there's not really like a bunch of digging here? It's kind of a bit zonal almost. There is a little bit of digging right there. That's what provides the moisture and helps provide precip. But there's not a lot of digging. With the second trough, look at the digging. Look at the huge digging down here. And again, what that's going to do is that's going to force your system to bring up warm air from the Gulf up into Tennessee and Kentucky because of that digging, the tilt that has, and that should reflect on the 500 millibar as well. See how you got the negative tilt on the 500 millibar? That's that digging. And then the 250 should show that even better. Yeah, all sorts of digging going on here. All sorts of digging. Whereas if we go back to that first trough, Saturday, you do have some digging, which again is why you get precipitation over the Midwest, but you don't get a sharp amount of digging. Like again, compare these two. See how it's kind of, these lines are like flat? That's kind of a bit more zonal. Whereas with this one, they curve more. See how they're going like up and around? They're curving more. They're providing more lift, more defluence aloft, more change in those winds. And that's what allows for this system to take that more kind of, curvature look to it, more of a nor'easter look to it, right? And less of that flat look to it. Whereas again, the first one has more of that kind of flatter look here. It's not as much curve. So again, if we just zoom in further, the reason why I wanted to explain that first is because your first batch of snow for the Midwest, this is going to be crucial. How much snow this drops for the Midwest and the New England states, and if you are included in this, is crucial. Because the second bigger batch of precipitation is probably going to end up being freezing rain and mixed precipitation, freezing rain, sleet, and some snow in some areas. So if we look at the NAM here, you can see that jackpot in the northeast is very far north. Very, very far north. And then in the Midwest, it's not too far north, really, in the Midwest, but it's still more north than Kentucky. And again, that's because of how far north that freezing rain goes and how far north that mixed precip goes, which a lot of people are thinking that like this is really realistic. I think this is overdoing it. Let's go to like the Canadian here. And the Canadian is still pretty rough, honestly. Let's go to the high-res Canadian. That will really, really, really help. The Canadian is still, okay, not as bad. See how that puts the jackpot probably closer to the Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio border? Let's see. Oh, even a bit further south than that. Ignore how it has like 3 feet up in New York City. We'll just pretend we don't see that part. But point being, see how much further south that the Canadian high-res Canadian model run is than the NAM. And that's because of the amplification of the system. That's another big, big question. So there's a lot of uncertainty that's going to really, really create a problem in the forecast. 3 problems. 1 problem, how fast does this guy go? How much snow do you get out of it? Problem number 2, how fast and how large is this dry air slot? Problem 3, how far north does warm air get ejected into, or ejected, whatever you would like to say, ejected, either one, into Kentucky? Point being, north. How far north does warm air go into Kentucky? 3 big things. Again, how fast is this, and how much snow do you get from it? How big is that dry slot? How fast does it fill in? How far north does that warm air go? And you can see if we go to like the, I don't know if the surface is going to show. Oh, the surface does show it. See how those temps go pretty far into Kentucky there. You've got a northern push here because you could see this cold air wrapping around going back to the Carolinas. And then you've got all this back end cold air here. And in the middle, you've got that drier, not drier air, warmer air across Tennessee and Kentucky. Good night, Pez. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, if you haven't already, by the way, make sure you hit that like button, share the stream and the channel with your family, friends. It's greatly appreciated. And consider hitting that subscribe button so you know when I go live tomorrow. We will be live again tomorrow sometime. I'm probably going to do a bit of an early live stream. We'll probably be live about 1:30, 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll probably be a little bit on the earlier side tomorrow. So those who have school may not catch my live stream. But about 1:30, 2 p.m. Eastern time, we'll probably be live tomorrow. Just a heads up there. So... yeah, also, depending how much warm air we get, by the way, Carson, that's going to depend on how much ice we get. So for, like, this particular run, the high-res Canadian, we don't end up with a insane ice storm. Now, we do still, especially in the mountains of North Carolina and, like, eastern NC, we still end up with a crippling ice storm in like these areas here. But we have a lot of mixed precipitation filling in here that allows us to get a lot of sleet too. So that's a big question for North Carolina. Can we get sleet to save us? If we can get sleet to save us, that would be awesome. If not, we are looking at one of the biggest ice storms in North Carolina since like 2002. To show you the possibility here, let's go to the 00Z GFS. A whole swath of an inch of ice. Widespread ice. It will be worse than the ice storm in 2014. But if we get sleet, we can cut some of these totals by half if we get enough sleet. I still like how the GFS still wants like a 2 to 3 inches of ice near Atlanta. I don't think that somebody's going to get a jackpot of ice. I think that's just the GFS over exaggerating. But I will say for like southern, southwestern North Carolina here. Oh, okay, gladly. New data, shoot. Okay, let me see this new data. Oof. Yeah, so this is the official forecast from the National Weather Service out here in Greenville and I think Spartanburg, South Carolina. That is going to be a jackpot area. That is going to be a jackpot area. Why, you may ask? Because of cold air. Remember how I talked about, I know I'm a little bit all over the place here, but remember how I just mentioned how that cold air from our warm air advection is going to funnel around the mountains like this? What that's going to do is it's going to trap cold air right on the mountains, and where that cold air gets trapped close to the warm nose right in here, close to the high amount of precipitation, that's going to be the jackpot for ice. And you can see the NAM almost has it like right where the tip of the arrow is. That's where the NAM has like the jackpot of ice, maybe a little bit further to the east. Wow, this is the GFS, not the NAM, by the way. I didn't even realize that. Let's go to the NAM, actually. Yeah, the NAM and the GFS both have it being like right at the tip of that arrow. So I agree with the National Weather Service expecting close to an inch of ice across this area. I agree with that. And this could grow a little bit. This could grow a little bit. I wouldn't be shocked if this does expand a little bit south and a little bit more to the northeast. That would not surprise me. That would not surprise me. But I don't think we will be seeing them add 2 to 3 inches of freezing rain being possible. I don't think that's going to happen. But like if we go here for Jasper's forecast of ice, expected is 6/10 of an inch, and the high end is 8/10 of an inch. And then you could see, which these totals are probably going to go up. This is an inaccurate map, to be honest with you. These totals are probably going to go up. You could see how there's a lack of dark red in here. Expect all of these totals to go up tomorrow morning. Expect all of those to go up from the National Weather Service's forecasts out here, which I think the main jurisdiction and much of that is Raleigh. A lot of that is Raleigh. I know the north side of that is Blacksburg. Most of the middle of that is Raleigh, RNK. And then the south side of that is going back towards Spartanburg, NWS. So, Eastern NC, depends how far east we're talking. Greenville, that's going to be like a good spot where you're probably going to be losing power for a day or two. But if you're in like, let's say, back towards Kitty Hawk, nothing. Just rain. So it depends greatly on how far east you are. And then, yeah, we're really talking about one of the... we're talking about a once-in-a-lifetime ice storm out here, honestly. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but we're really talking about a once-in-a-lifetime ice storm in that area I just circled. Really, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the possibility of somebody to get upwards of like 1.5 inches of ice. The high end is actually 1.6 inches of ice in west central Mississippi. 1.6 inches of ice. So somebody out here is going to remember. That's how you know it's getting late. Remember. Someone out here is going to remember this ice storm for probably much of their life. Someone out here also could be out of power for as long as 2 weeks, by the way. Someone could be out of power for as long as 2 weeks. I saw you say your area legacy. You're still looking at a little over a quarter-inch of ice. And then for snow, probably not a whole lot. Maybe 2 inches, right? I'm waiting for this to pop up. Yeah, 2 inches. It doesn't want to pop up for some reason, but I just clicked on it and it does say 2 inches. There you go. Yeah, 2 inches. Kaylee, you're in northeastern Oklahoma, right? You're somewhere, aren't you somewhere in here? Somewhere generally in here. About a foot. Between 9 inches to a foot. Or actually, no, you might be a little bit more north. Grove. Oh, there you go. Yep, a little bit more north. Yeah, Grove. You're looking at very close to a foot. You should be on the edge of the sweet spot. We're not looking at a big ice storm for you. You should be on the sweet spot, really. The high end here is like 15 inches is the reasonable high end, and the expected is like 11 inches to a foot. Southwest Indiana. Wait, hold on. Is Southwest Indiana the bullseye so far, or is Oklahoma looking to be the winner? You guys also are looking to be a winner, too. There's going to be a lot of bullseyes. It's just a matter of, who gets the absolute highest. But you can see here on the new NAM, the sweet spot is really all in here. That's really the sweet spot from Southwest Indiana near Evansville all the way back down into OKC. And if we go to like the GFS here, that's too far south. Let's go to the high-res Canadian. We'll zoom back in on that. You can see the sweet spot is still pretty close. Still pretty close to southwestern Indiana, back down into Oklahoma. Now, these totals are being overdone. I don't know what's going on here. Ignore this. This is all being overdone. This is some model error, honestly. So your sweet spot is still like just right in southwest Indiana down to central Oklahoma. All right, let's zoom back out again so you can see the whole thing here. So just for those wondering, the ice storm, this main snowstorm, we're expecting some marginal impacts tomorrow morning by about 9 a.m. Eastern, but we're not expecting anything notable to start until probably about 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to go live just before that. We're going to start up about 1:30, maybe 2 p.m. Eastern, but the worst impacts are expected to begin at about 6 p.m. starting in the panhandle of Texas. And then from there on, it just gets worse. And again, we're looking at kind of a 1-2 winter storm here. Because we're going to have a dry slot. So we get this first big winter storm in, and then you'll notice by the time we get to Saturday afternoon, we're already seeing a clearing here. So if this does come to fruition, it's almost like a false sense of hope here, right? Hey, we're done. Snowstorm's off to our east. And in reality, 12 hours later, you got this entire back end portion that's even heavier than the first. So it's almost like a false sense of hope for Oklahoma there, depending on how big that dry slot is. And I do think that is being exponentially overdone by the Canadian model. That thing is ginormous. That's like a 150-mile hole of precipitation right there. I think a more realistic one is like the NAM, where it's going to be a hole for about 6 hours, and then it fills right back in pretty quick. About 6 hours there. And we could go to our high-res guidance again, the HRRR, more than NAM, actually. NAM will probably be a bit better. You could see the NAM here. That keeps a good amount of precipitation away from central Oklahoma, depending on exactly where you are. You're about a lack of precipitation for 6 to 8 or so hours, depending on exactly where you are. You can also see the difference between sleet and snow. Look at that cutoff. Look at that cutoff. Where I just circled is sleet. North of that is snow. Sleet, 3 to 5 inches. Snow, snow, 9 to like 15. So big differences there. Good night, Brooklyn. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully I'll see you in tomorrow's live stream. Proxy for your area. We are looking at a warm nose for sure. The biggest question here is it mainly sleet or is it mainly ice? Hold on, I'll just go to Charleston real quick. Expected 9 inches for Charleston. High end is a foot. So for you, you're out here. They haven't updated their forecast yet. I don't think. I don't think they've updated their forecast because look at that cutoff. You go from from 5 inches to like 1 inch in a 20-mile difference there. So I'd say probably about 2 inches of snow. About 2 inches of snow. Let's see about ice. Yeah, 1/4 inch of ice. 1/4 inch of ice. I think ice will be the biggest issue for you. And then probably some sleet too. So you'll probably end up with about 3 inches of sleet on top of the 2 inches of snow. So about 5 inches of total accumulation on the ground. And then on top of all that, a 1/4 inch of ice. Messy. Very messy. And to end it all, maybe some rain. I wouldn't rule out some last minute rain here. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't rule out some last minute rain Monday evening, which should help tamper those impacts. Hopefully help decrease the overall power issues out there or impacts as just a whole. Baltimore, you guys have unfortunately trended towards the end of it being more ice. You can see if we go up here, which they don't really have much yet, but you're probably looking at about 1/10 of an inch of ice. And then you are still good with some snow here. Unfortunately, it's not as big as, what some of the outputs were yesterday, but we're still expecting about 10 inches to a foot for you in Baltimore. About 10 inches to a foot in Baltimore is still expected. You can see where that ice is going to become a problem right up in here. How it affects some of those snow totals. Because, like, to the west, you're at, like, 14 inches. To the east, you're at, like, 14 inches. And then right over, like, Baltimore, Washington, even all the way down to Richmond, you're decreasing on those totals. Somebody's also not updated their forecast out here. This doesn't look to align too... well, maybe just the southern side. This doesn't look actually that bad. It's just sometimes when you see these sharp decreases in snow, sometimes that means that they're behind on their forecasts. Like over here, for instance. See over here, 4 inches, 1 inch. They're probably behind on their forecast a little bit. What's the severe threat look like? Nah. We'll wait till we're in range. I wouldn't rule out a 60-mile-an-hour winds, half-inch hail, and like a brief tornado or two in southern Alabama, southern Georgia, northern Florida, but it won't be notable. Just a low-end threat. Maybe worthy of a slight risk for wind, depending on how Cape trends. How we do in Texas? The more north you are, the more snow and sleet you'll get. Most of Texas, we're looking at ice. We're looking at an ice storm similar to 2021 for much of these areas. Not for Houston. Remember, 2021 was big back down in here. Not for those areas. But in terms of what Dallas got back in 2021, we're looking like a similar scenario where we could get a half-inch of ice in downtown Dallas. The areas that are really, really going to be upwards of a week without power, back out here towards Tyler, Longview, Texas, border of Louisiana, Texas, and northwest Louisiana, northeast Texas. Southwest Indiana, we could have a very last second shift to ice sometime Monday morning, Sunday night, Monday morning, but most of it is snow for y'all. We're looking at about a foot to 14 inches of snow in southwest Indiana, and at most, at absolute most, a tenth of an inch of ice. Most of it should be snow for y'all. Fairfield, I can't be too far north in Virginia. I feel like I have been very close to that area before. Let's see here. Oh, that actually is pretty far north into Virginia. Yeah, you are pretty far north, actually. I have been close to there, but just not often. But if we go and take a look there, Fairfield, way up here. Hold on, I'm just going to get another approximation of where that is. It keeps taking me to another place, VA. Okay, near Lexington. Barely north of Lexington. About a foot. About a foot of snow. Looks like your average is a foot, and in terms of ice, about a tenth an inch. I don't know if you're just saying that because that's exactly where I am, or if you're actually from Martinsville. Because that's exactly where I am. I am from Martinsville. I'm in Martinsville right now. We're looking at probably... that's the wrong thing. We're looking at probably about 6 inches of snow. Probably about 5 to 6 inches of snow and sleet. And then for ice, that's our biggest concern. We're looking at between a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. By the way, this is the official forecasts from the National Weather Service. This isn't the blend of models anymore. This is the actual forecast. Because we're close now. Cincinnati, you're looking at a foot of snowfall. Actually, my bad. 9 inches to a foot of snowfall. And then probably last second, Sunday night, Monday morning, could get a little bit of ice and sleet, but mainly we're looking at snow. Hold on. Albany, New York. Forgot which one you say. I haven't looked up there in a while. All right, pretty major city right there. So definitely no ice. This is the low end. This is not... we're going to have to go to the blend for this. I'd say a foot. 9 inches to a foot of snow. 9 inches to a foot of snow. And no ice. I do, Pete. If you want to go ahead and just put wherever you are. Let's see. Sorry if I'm not getting to everybody's. I'm just trying to generally look at chat the best I can here. Ooh. That's nice. If you don't want many impacts, that's nice. Now, if you want something good, you're going to have to probably chase it. Because we're not looking at any big impacts there. You're probably in a good enough spot to where you're going to get warm-nosed. Just look at exactly where that is again. Just east of Knoxville. Yeah, right in there. You're probably going to get warm-nosed. So I'm thinking a tenth of an inch of ice, an inch or two of sleet, and then rain's going to come in and just destroy all of it. So your biggest impact day will be Saturday evening, Saturday night into Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, rain comes in, gets rid of it all. That's what it looks like for you. So just try to avoid travel Saturday night into Sunday morning. All right, let's get rid of that. There we go. Let me go up a bit because I did see some more that I missed. Durham NC, we got there's a pretty familiar person from there. Lucky's from around that area. Durham, we're looking at minimal snow or sleet. So you're looking at like an inch of sleet. I know this says snow, but we're looking at an inch of sleet, not snow. And then for ice, we're looking at worse. Probably a half inch. This is probably underdoing it right now. I think these totals will be upped tomorrow morning. I think many of these areas will be upped to a half inch of ice on the next forecast tomorrow morning. So Durham, I think a half inch of ice. You could expect upwards of a week without power. Definitely got to be very careful. Now if you're in the city, that's a priority area, which typically means they restore power quicker. So probably not going to lose power for more than about 2 days there, but worst end is like a week without power. So again, half inch of ice, an inch of sleet and or snow. And the biggest problem is going to be the travel impacts and upwards of a week without power. Let's go to down here, South Central NC. So you're pretty far south. You're pretty well east of Charlotte here. Probably just a big ice storm. You may be able to sneak in a half inch to an inch of sleet, but probably like almost a half inch of ice. So you're looking at just big time travel issues and big time power outage being a possibility. And timing for that is going to be, by the way, for both Durham and South Central NC, you're looking at very early Sunday morning, very late Saturday night, and persisting all the way till Monday morning. Now, there could be some rain Monday morning, and if that does happen, that could save some of North Carolina from dealing with extended impacts. That's an opportunity. If we can get some morning rain Monday, that could help with the long-term impacts going into the work week. Bloomington, Indiana. Oh, hold on. I just skipped over South Carolina. Let's get to media because, well, one, I skipped them, and two, I know media is a long time fan of the channel here. So you are just barely southeast of Greenville. Woof. That's a doozy, man. That's a doozy. Be ready. Be ready. A half inch plus of ice all across this area. Maybe a little bit of sleet, up to like an inch of sleet or snow accumulation, but we're looking at almost straight ice. So big time power outages, big time problems with travel. Timing, you're looking at getting in a little bit earlier than those near Central NC, probably Saturday evening, closer to maybe 7 p.m., right around there. And that will persist all the way till the warm nose comes in here very late Sunday night into Monday morning. And again, hopefully we can get some rain mixing in here to help with those long-term impacts going into the work week. But you could see this is probably underdoing freezing rain totals and overdoing sleet. Probably overdoing sleet and underdoing ice. So I don't really like the NAM for that. I don't think that's doing good. Bloomington, Indiana. Let's go back up here. That's kind of central Indiana, so probably more snow. Definitely more snow. Lots of snow. Looking at about 8 or 9 inches of snow, and there could be a last second change to ice. So I wouldn't rule out a little light glaze of ice going into Sunday night. Timing: snow begins Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. right about there, and that will persist for all the way till this leaves Monday morning. So you're probably going to be in a bit of a jackpot here. We'll have to see exactly how that looks when we get closer, but I think you're going to be pretty good. Should be pretty good. I think 9 inches is probably going to end up being like your low end. Someone from Maryland here. Southeast Maryland. Bit of a problem with some ice mixing in there, so unfortunately not as high as what it could be. Looking at about, just make sure I have the general right area, which I do not. Yep, I do not. I was a whole state over. You're looking at about 10 inches of snow, and I wouldn't rule out a 1/10 of an inch of ice. Yeah. Yep, that seems good. Right about there. And you will be mainly snow for the first portion of this event, which is from Saturday night, right about 9 p.m., all the way till about Sunday, maybe right about 9 a.m. or so. So a good 12 hours of straight snow. And then you'll probably change into a mixture of sleet and snow, which will still help with those snowfall totals. You'll still continue to get snow totals with that. And then going into Sunday evening, maybe a burst of freezing rain on top of that, and that's what could give you the 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. Montgomery County, west of Albany, about the same as what I said for Albany. Oh man, I've lost my spot. Let me go find my spot again. Okay, there, that's where I was. Williamstown, New Jersey. It's going to bring me up here just southeast of Philly. Just southeast of Philly. A foot. Probably looking at a foot. Now, some ice could mix in last second, so you could get up to a 1/10 of an inch of ice. Mainly snow, though. You're looking at a lot of snow, and then, okay, maybe not 3 feet. Lord have mercy, let me use a different model run. I don't think that's good either. That's better. Yeah, you're looking at about a foot of snowfall, and then last minute, it could change into more of a mix of sleet and freezing rain going into Sunday afternoon. Arrival time for the storm is going to be very, very late Saturday, close to midnight. Ada, Oklahoma. I always don't know which one to pronounce that with. That's South Central Oklahoma, though. Yeah, I know exactly where that is, so let's just go way over here. You've trended towards more of ice, so you're looking at 3 or 4 inches of snow, and then about a 1/4 inch of ice, and maybe a bit of sleet on top of all that too. So definitely some big time power outage threats there. And arrival time, probably tomorrow, right? Oh, this is a terrible sector. Let's use our higher res, even though I don't really want to, we will. Yeah, probably late tomorrow night, closer to 10 p.m., starting as a mix of freezing rain and sleet. And then really your best chance for any type of accumulating snow will be with the back end of this Sunday morning. Martinsburg, West Virginia. Let's go way up there. Oof. Good spot, good spot. Little bit of ice. Littlest bit of ice. Last second chance for some ice, but mainly we're talking straight snow. Looking at 14 inches of snow. Upwards of 18 inches of snow. Timing, arrival time, probably Saturday evening, depending on the mountains. You're like right on that east side of the mountains, so probably, yeah, probably give or take 8 p.m. Saturday evening, Saturday night, and then really just straight, honestly, almost just straight snow until the last second. If I zoom back in there, honestly, just straight snow for much of that time frame. Until we get to Sunday evening, and then we have a chance for it to start mixing in with some more sleet and freezing rain. A bit of a mess. Last, like, 4 to 6 hours of the event, gonna be a bit messy. All right, let's go back all the way over here. This is, wow, almost New York City over here. Really good up here. Honestly, this is not going to go far enough out. So we're going to switch to a not official forecast here. But I do think you're probably going to get about a foot in New York City. I think that's reasonable. This says 15. I think it will be a little lower than that. I think a foot is reasonable. Yeah. I think a foot is reasonable. Locally higher amounts may be possible. Maybe at the very last hour of this storm, a little bit of sleet. But really, you should stay, honestly, mainly all snow that far north. Yeah, you can see kind of like the last few hours here of Sunday, you get a mixture of some sleet. But mainly we're talking about all snow from Sunday morning, about 5 a.m., all the way till it goes towards a bit of a mix at about 8 p.m. Sunday, and then a bit of a mix from 8 p.m. Sunday all the way till about like midnight Monday morning. And remember, that mix is going to keep adding on to those snow totals, too. So it's not like because you're in mix, that doesn't mean no snow. That means some snow and some sleet. Maybe a little bit of freezing rain sprinkled in there, but mainly snow and sleet for those mixed precip areas. Roanoke. Roanoke, pretty good area that I'm concerned about here. We're looking at, I think that's kind of the higher end at this point. I'd say 8-9 inches of snow. I think this is a bit on the high side of things. And then ice. Okay, we got another update. I don't know where that update's going to be for, but apparently we had a new update just then. That means a new forecast came out from one of the National Weather Services. And then for ice, we are looking at probably what is that, a 10th an inch? Oh, no, 1/4 inch. Yeah, about a 1/4 inch of ice and 8 inches of snow. Timing. Saturday, late Saturday. This is a little earlier, actually, about 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Eastern for both you and me. And then snow lasting till not that long, about 5 hours of snowfall. Snow stops probably close to 11 p.m. midnight. We transition into a bit more of a mixture of snow and sleet. And then we'll probably be pushing freezing rain going into Sunday morning and all day Sunday. Really all day Sunday. So snow Saturday evening, Saturday night, transitioning into snow and sleet Sunday morning, and then probably just straight up freezing rain much of Sunday afternoon and evening until the storm starts to get out of here Sunday night, where we get a little last second of some freezing rain, and maybe a small chance for some rain depending on how cold it is, but it doesn't look like rain is much of a possibility up there. You look to be pretty good north. Ohio. Ooh, really far north. Maybe too far. Yeah, maybe a little bit too far north there, but you're looking at about 5 inches of snow. Which, honestly, yeah, that's pretty good. You could have a locally higher amount, depending on how far north this thing goes. I would probably go a little higher. I'd say probably closer to 8. I would probably say 8. 6 to 8 is probably more realistic up there than the, what did I say, the 4 to 5 they have now. 6 to 8 is more realistic. By the way, I'm still very high up in these chats, so if you're just putting your area in, it's going to be a hot minute. Columbia, South Carolina, a mess. Not too significant, thankfully. I mean, you could get like a tenth of an inch of snow or sleet. Ice is your main problem here, and we're looking at the ice could be an issue, actually. Quarter inch of ice, that's enough to cause pretty big disruptions. So, traveling's going to be a hazard for sure. And you could have, you could lose power for upwards of 3-4 days out there. But again, you are in a bit more of a priority area if you're in downtown Columbia. So, there's a chance you could get power restored quickly. Timing for you, looking at probably Saturday evening, close to 7 p.m. That's when your freezing rain and maybe a bit of sleet mixed in starts. And then that doesn't stop until you get some normal rain Monday morning. And then this thing is out of here by the way, that's early Monday morning. Like we're talking about like 1 a.m. Monday morning, that normal rain starts. And then by the time most of us get up closer towards 6 a.m. Monday, this is out of here. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Far north, but I don't think you're far enough to where you're going to escape that snow. Looking at 4 inches of snow on the official forecast, but probably going to have that upped tomorrow. I would say they're saying 4. I'd say closer to 6 to 8 for that area as well. They're probably going to increase your forecast tomorrow. I believe I already did that one. Louisville, Kentucky. Haven't done that one. Louisville, you're like right on that edge, but honestly, much of it's going to be snow. Foot of snowfall, and then we could transition into a bit of ice. They don't have much right now, but I think you could get up to like a tenth of an inch of ice as we have a last couple hours of a transition there. But mainly snow. Mainly snow, transitioning to sleet and freezing rain. And that freezing rain and sleet risk will be Sunday morning. But a lot of that looks to be snow for Louisville, actually. It starts... Let me switch this real quick. It starts here about Saturday early afternoon, late morning, early afternoon. And then that will persist all the way till Sunday evening, right about sunset. Yeah, and I do think you're looking at more snow than mixed precipitation. So last second, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, you could have a last second transition into some sleet, but mainly snow, if not all snow. Looks like I'm catching up. I already did Oklahoma. I did that a long time ago, man. I did that a long time ago. I said about 4 inches. Mainly ice, though. Also did the New York one, too. Augusta, didn't do that one. That is East Central Georgia. I think you might be good. Oh, you are like barely in that watch, man. You are on the edge of that watch. Pretty high, actually. I wasn't expecting to see that. Almost 2/10 of an inch of ice, which is significant enough to cause disruptions to daily life. Power outages could last up to 2 days, and travel difficulties will be possible. And this comes in here. It's probably going to start as rain Saturday night and then transition to freezing rain overnight Saturday night into Sunday morning, and then continuous freezing rain Sunday afternoon. And by the time you get to Sunday evening, closer to the 4-5 p.m. time frame, maybe a transition back into rain. So your Sunday morning commute is going to be disrupted. Newport, Arkansas. Ooh, Northeast Arkansas. Off topic, but you're close to queso up there. We've talked a lot about queso on this channel. We were covering PDS tornado warnings when he was inside of PDS tornado warnings. We were covering it. Just gonna double check where that is. Just southwest of Jonesboro. Jonesboro is just southwest. So right in here. Yep, there's Newport. 6-7 inches of snowfall. And that ice amount has not been updated. Look at that cutoff. Your National Weather Service has not updated your ice totals. Probably about 1/10 of an inch to 2/10 of an inch of ice. So a good amount of snow and then a good amount of ice. Probably going to have pretty significant impacts out there. Timing, this might be just off your screen. It's very close to off your screen. Timing is a mixture of snow and sleet starting early Saturday morning and persisting through much of the day. Maybe a little break in overall precipitation Saturday night. And then right back to freezing rain, snow, and sleet, the whole shebang going into Sunday morning. And then it will be out of here Sunday afternoon. Timing for Western NC. The bulk of Western NC Sunday evening. If you are in Northwest NC, 3-4 p.m. Saturday. If you are closer to Central Southern NC, Central Southern Western NC, closer to like 7 p.m. Saturday. More north you are, sooner it will be. More south you are along the mountains, later it will be. Central Virginia, Virginia's not a small state. Central Virginia is anywhere from Harrisonburg down through Lynchburg. So anywhere between exactly where you are, 1/10 of an inch of ice to 2/10 of an inch of ice. Anywhere between exactly where you are, anywhere between 13 inches. Yeah, right about a foot. Depending on exactly where you are. Could be anywhere between 6 inches to a foot. It depends where you are in Central Virginia. That's a very large area. Ain't exactly small. Grand Parish, Louisiana. So that's like near Colfax, just north of Alexandria. I could tell you right off the bat, ice. Oh boy. Where was that? Just south or north of Alexandria? Big difference, big difference. Just north. I'd say about a 1/2 inch of ice. So very significant disruptions, up to like 3 to 5 days without power. Could be very bad. Could be very bad. Once it starts, it won't end for a long time. So you're probably going to start with some rain Friday, tomorrow, start with some rain. And then when you transition to sleet and freezing rain Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning, you're not going to stop with sleet and freezing rain until Sunday afternoon. A full like 24 hours of straight ice. I do think the warm nose will really go that far, Proxy. Yes, I do think so. I know it's not what you want to hear, but I do think so. Kearney, Missouri, told you you'd be inside of winter storm warnings. The other day you were in nothing. Now you're in winter storm warnings. Snow. If you didn't know, snow. And a lot of it. A lot of it. Kansas City, probably looking at 9 inches to a foot around your area, Haley. Timing of it. If I can zoom out, gracious. It starts here very early Saturday, late tomorrow. Isn't that tomorrow? Yeah. We're looking at extremely late tomorrow, extremely early Saturday, around the time frame of midnight. And then snow lasting till maybe a little break. There is a chance for a break Saturday afternoon, but then you should pick right back up. So just a lot of snow overall all the way until Sunday early afternoon. depending on that break is a big make or break situation for you. If we do have that big of a break, you could end up with as little as 3 inches of snow. Without that break, though, you're looking at closer to 10 inches. So that's a pretty tough one. It depends on how much dry air we have around your area. Sparta, Illinois, just southeast of St. Louis. You're looking at about 8 inches of snow generally. Right about 8 inches of snow. Ice, not any. So just good old snow. And I do think that could be on the lower end, by the way. They have 8 inches. I do think it could be probably closer to 10 for you. Unless dry air becomes a big issue. Which I don't think it will be that big of an issue for you out there. Bowling Green, Kentucky. That's going to be a pretty tough one. You're looking at about 6 inches of snow. And about a 1/4 inch of ice. And honestly, I would lean more heavily on snow and sleet being possible Saturday. So it starts as snow Saturday morning, probably close to 10 a.m. Then it transitions into sleet Saturday afternoon, probably close to, I don't know, 4 or 5 p.m. And then you might have a little break Sunday morning, and then it's going to be mainly freezing rain much of the day on Sunday, transitioning possibly even ending with rain Sunday evening. Roseville, Michigan. Oof, you're pretty far north there. I don't know about that. Probably not a whole lot. You could still be looking at about 4 or 5 inches of snow, but nothing like what you're used to with bigger events. This is not really that big of an event for you. You are still going to get snow, though. You know, it's still going to be snow for you. It just isn't going to be like one of those bigger, major events for you. The major stuff's going to stay just to your south, closer to Ohio and south. Thank you for the town name right there. South Central PA, then you put the town name. Appreciate that. So barely southwest of Harrisonburg, or Harrisburg, sorry. Harrisonburg, Virginia, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So right in here. You're looking at a foot, 13 inches to a foot. Wait, other way around. 12 to 13 inches. 12 to 13 inches. And maybe a last second transition to ice. So mainly snow beginning near midnight Sunday morning. And then continuing all the way until maybe some last second sleet and freezing rain very early Monday morning. And then most of this ending Monday afternoon with isolated snow showers and sleet showers Monday afternoon and evening. Huntsville, I'm assuming Alabama. You're in like the sweet spot. I have family just south of you. And you guys are in the sweet spot to where I think it's going to be staying as isolated ice and mainly rain. So you may have a little transition to some freezing rain here and there, specifically Saturday morning and afternoon, and after that, mainly just rain. But you are inside of an advisory. You are inside of an advisory. Let's see, just southwest of Pikeville, pretty far southwest of Pikeville. 1/4 inch of ice. Big time disruptions because of ice. And then on top of that, you could get about 3 inches of snow. Mainly ice though. So Saturday, it starts about 2 p.m. Saturday, and it's going to stay snow from about 2 p.m. Saturday till sunset. Once sunset occurs, it's mainly ice from there all the way until Sunday afternoon, to where it could be a brief period of rain at the end of this. Okay, Bloomington, Illinois. Bloomington, Illinois. You're on the edge. You're on the edge. Where is Bloomington? Where the heck did Bloomington go? Where am I? Just north of... Okay, it's like in here? Oh, okay, there it is. 4 inches of snow. And that's probably about it. Maybe a little bit more snow than that. That could be on the conservative, and I think this is on the aggressive. I'd say, yeah, 4 to 6 inches of snow is very, very reasonable. Beginning sometime Sunday. Well, it depends on this first one. You could have a quick hitting snowstorm Saturday morning, and then it kind of pauses Saturday night through Sunday early morning, and then picks back up again Sunday afternoon all the way till Sunday night. So depending on that dry slot, you could end up with anywhere between, it's a big range, anywhere between 4 inches to 10 inches of snow. Big range. Big range there. So average that, 6 or so inches of snow. Pretty difficult to say. Murfreesboro, ice. Ice turning into rain. Mainly ice starting right when precip starts Saturday morning, and then persisting till you turn into rain sometime Sunday. Buffalo, New York. I don't even need to see where that is. I know exactly where that is. Give me over there. Buffalo, about 6 inches of snow. But honestly, that's probably on the low side. That's probably on the big low side. I don't know why they're going so low. That is on the low side. Is something wrong with that? Why is that so low? That ain't right, man. I'd say probably 10 inches. Maybe even a little bit more. 10 inches to a foot. 10 inches to a foot. I disagree with that. This might not be going far enough out to show it all. That's what it is. It may not be going far enough out to show the entire event. 10 inches to a foot is reasonable up there. And pretty much New York City with that one. A lot of snow. You're looking at probably a foot, 12, 13 inches of snow, maybe even upwards of, yeah, 12. I'd say that's reasonable, honestly. Anywhere between like 10 inches to 13 inches is reasonable for you. And once it starts snowing Sunday morning, it's not going to stop. Early Sunday morning, it starts, and it may be a brief transition to freezing rain Monday morning, but mainly snow turning into a little bit of sleet, and then all the way till this precip ends probably sometime Monday afternoon or evening. Central Missouri. Dang, you're like dead central Missouri. Well, southwest Jefferson City. So like somewhere in here, you're looking at 9, 10 inches of snow. Dry slot will make or break your location. Snow starts about 5 a.m. Saturday morning. A little bit of a dry slot could mix in and break some of those snow totals Saturday night into Sunday morning. And then Sunday morning all the way till Sunday at sunset, continual snow. NAM is gospel. Why? NAM is handling this semi-decently, but I'm not using the NAM all the time. I'm using the NAM for some precip, and then I'm also using the Canadian model run for some precip, and the forecast I'm using is official for snowfall. Also, you're in a horrible spot, by the way. You are literally directly in the warm air advection. You're right in the warm nose. Let's see here. Beaufort, South Carolina, rain. But yeah, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Hit that notification bell, set it to all so you know when I go live tomorrow, which, like I said, will probably be about 1:30, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to do just a few more of these and then head off here because it's late. It's getting close to 1 a.m. here. So this is kind of just northeast of OKC. Yep, just east of OKC. Maybe a little higher than that. Closer to 8 inches of snow, I'd say. Closer to 8 inches of snow here with the newer data that we have. I'd say closer to 8 inches of snow. But the problem is ice could mix in here. And if that happens, that could decrease those totals a bit. So upwards of 1/10 of an inch of ice. This is definitely showing that main ice staying south. So I would say probably closer to, like... yeah, that's a good amount. What you see there, 0.02 inches of ice is possible. But if it's a little bit higher than that, it could affect into some of those snow totals. And you will have a break in precip here. You will have a break in precip. So the first bit starts here very late tomorrow, close to probably 8 p.m. Mainly all snow, if not all snow. And then it kind of breaks up Saturday morning, early Saturday afternoon, and then comes back again Saturday evening, Saturday night as mainly all snow too. And again, if there is any freezing rain in there, it could hurt the totals just a bit. I don't think it would hurt the totals a lot because you're not that far south. How long do you expect to be without power in our area, TRG? My family's prepared for a week. We've prepared for a week. Depending on your area, honestly, I know you're in Roanoke. You could not even lose power. The problem is if you do lose power, where we are, it's not a very high priority because we don't have a bunch of businesses directly around our neighborhood. So we're not very high priority. So if you don't lose power, you may never lose it. Honestly, like if you don't lose power Sunday night, you may not lose it at all. But if you do lose power Sunday night, you're probably not getting it back till Wednesday, Thursday, possibly later if you're in low priority. Legacy, you're kind of in the best spot, honestly. At max a day, you're in the best spot, and I say that because you're in the warm nose. It does depend how far north that goes, because see, look at all this snow and sleet that drops before that. That could be the problem. That could make you lose power. And if that happens, you could be out for a day or two. But the good news is a lot of that rain should come in and help get rid of any additional damage that could be done. So I'd say a day or two, Legacy. Max 3 days. Cherryville, Arkansas. Northeast Arkansas. Pretty far northeast Arkansas. A little bit higher than 1/10 of an inch of snow. Or not snow, my bad. A little more than 1/10 of an inch of ice. And for snow, you're looking at probably 6 inches or so. Timing, we're looking at... Ooh, this is ultra zoomed in, but I can still give you timing. Timing, we're looking at snow or ice starting early Saturday morning, close to 3 a.m. And then persisting till Saturday afternoon, where you may have a little break in scattered precipitation. And then another big chunk comes in Sunday morning. And doesn't stop till sometime maybe very, very early Sunday afternoon. That could stop. We'll have to see. That could stop closer to noon, or it could stop closer to 10 a.m. All right, let me go to Clover, South Carolina. All right, so you're just southwest of Charlotte, NC. Little dusting of some sleet or snow, an inch. Main issue, ice. Half, or is this quarter inch? This might be quarter inch. Nope, this is about a half inch. Yeah, close to a half inch of ice. Big time problems there. Once you start with ice Saturday night, you're not going to stop until that rain comes in Monday morning. So, big issues. If you lose power, we could be talking about 3 to 5 days without power if you lose it. Louisville. You deleted that, so I don't know if you still want that or not. If you do, just put it back in. I'll go back to Louisville. Just northeast of Cleveland. Let's go way up there. Mainly snow. So you're looking at about 6 inches of snow. Snow starting about 6 p.m. or so. Right about the evening hours. Saturday night. And then persisting all the way till Monday afternoon. Honestly, you might need to... I wouldn't be shocked if they increased those totals up to about 8 inches, honestly. That's probably on the lower end. That's probably on the lower end. I would not be shocked if this, that says 8 or 9 inches of snow, wouldn't be shocked if that starts pulling up towards Cleveland. Okay, you still want Louisville. Got it. About a foot, honestly. Really good. About a foot of snowfall. And there is a chance for last second sleet or freezing rain, but mainly we're looking at almost, if not all, snow. Sorry, let me change to this model run. So starts Saturday morning, maybe right around 10 a.m. or so. And then it persists all the way. And it doesn't look like you'll have much of a gap here. And that's the big thing. The dry slot shouldn't affect you that much. And that's why you'll probably end up with a foot, maybe even isolated local amounts higher than that. Because it's just not going to stop till Monday morning for you. And even then, into Monday morning, a little bit of flurry is still possible early Monday morning. College Station, Texas. Barely outside the winter storm warnings. So, at best, you're looking at a dusting of snow. Biggest problem, let me just double check exactly where that is just to make sure. College Station. Where is that exactly? Dead east of Austin. Yeah, it should be in here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Look, it was right there. Just couldn't see the name of it. About a quarter inch of ice, and like I said, a dusting at best for snow. So your main issue is going to be travel impacts because of that ice. And if I go just for timing real quick, which it looks like we don't have a good sector down there, so we're going to have to go to a little bit worse model here. Starting as rain through much of the day on Saturday. Rain starts early Sunday morning, so much of the day rain. And then once you get to Saturday night, Sunday morning, a transition into freezing rain for maybe about 6 to 12 hours. And then Sunday afternoon, this clears out. I don't know. Snow is not as impactful on the power grid as ice. So there's a chance you lose power in Louisville, Kentucky for sure, but the chance of a prolonged power outage beyond a day is unlikely. Bradford, PA. Ooh, winter storm warnings just got out for Pittsburgh. Look at that. Those were not there literally just a second ago. 10 to 14 inches for downtown Pittsburgh. Those just got put out by the National Weather Service out there. Where was I going? Bradford, PA, apparently. Northwest PA. Almost in that winter storm warning. You'll be putting one tomorrow. No ice. All snow. And this may be on the lower end. This says about 6 inches. Probably closer to 8 or 9. There's someone trying to sell a gallon of milk for $40. My goodness, that's insane. Yeah, right. Why is the GFS insisting on snow further south into Tennessee? Because it can't handle warm air advection as well as other model runs. The GFS has been pretty stubborn. I wouldn't trust it. I would not trust it one bit. Now, if it is right, this would be one of the biggest wins ever for the American model, but I highly doubt it's right. That's a rare instance. Athens, Ohio, at least 6 inches of snow. Yeah, minimum. Minimum, man, minimum. See exactly where you are. West of that region. Oh, man. Sometimes it's hard to see the state borders there. There you go. There you are. Yeah, at least minimum 6 inches of snow. Most likely 9-10 inches of snow. Oh, by the way, timing for Northwest PA, I don't think I said it for that one person. Snow arrives Sunday morning, and it just persists all the way till Monday afternoon. Just straight up snow. And then for Athens, Ohio, you're looking at snow starting probably about 7 p.m. or so Saturday evening, persisting until all the way till Monday morning, Monday afternoon. However, there could be an instance where we mix in a little bit of freezing rain and some light sleet, but I don't think that will be much of an issue for your snow totals. I agree with that. 5 to 9 for Roseville. Maybe a little bit on the lower end of that, 5 or 6. That's probably closer. These models begin at specific times, like hurricane forecasts. However, sometimes they can be a little late or a little early. Like the Euro today was almost, I'm pretty sure the Euro on some of these sites was like up to an hour late. But Arlington, that's like right at our capital here. Looking at probably close to like 10 inches or something. Yep. 10 inches. 10 inches of snow. Begins here early Sunday morning, near midnight Sunday morning. Lasts all the way till Monday, either Monday morning or Monday afternoon. Probably closer to Monday morning. Into the morning, into the early afternoon is when it will end. The problem is, the reason why you're probably not going to see much higher than at max a foot is because freezing rain might mix in here. So you could see a bit of issues for that mixing in towards a 1/10 of an inch of ice. Let's see. Gonna snow. That's in Cali. I don't think so. Nah. You're way too far west. It may snow eventually, but I don't I don't know if that place even sees snow any time of the year ever. But all right, that's most of those forecasts done there. That was a lot. That was a lot. It's already 1 a.m. here. It is already 1 a.m. Wyoming. It's probably just best to, let's see. Wherever you are, you could see just a little bit of snow. My little overlay down there decided to quit on me. Look at it. Let's give it a refresh. Poor thing's being overloaded by winter storm watches and warnings. North Alabama, ice. Next to no snow. If you're in Northwest Alabama, potentially historic ice. North Central, you start cutting down on those ice totals. And then Northeastern, mainly rain. Washington County, Indiana. Oh, Baltimore, hold on. I've done like Baltimore here about 10 inches. 10 inches to a foot, right around there. 10 to 12 inches. Where was that? Washington County, Indiana. Yeah. Ooh, perfect. Awesome spot. Awesome spot. Nailed it. Yeah, smack dab in that 10 plus inches of snow range. Honestly, think this is going to be upgraded further. I'd say 10 to 12 inches is very, very reasonable. Good night, Legacy. Thanks for staying up this late. My word. I appreciate a mod staying up that late. Again, I'll be live tomorrow about 1:30 Eastern. That's 12:30 Central. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, Pete's here too. Glad to see you here too, Pete. My bad. Didn't mean to disclude you. Oh, great. Getting closer to TRG winter too. Yay. Yay. Findlay, Ohio. Let's see. That's a pretty good spot. Not as good as like southern Ohio. They have only 5 inches of snow, but honestly, probably closer to 6 to 8. More reasonable. As for timing up there, arrival time right about 8 p.m. Saturday. And then once it starts, it never stops. 8 p.m. Saturday all the way till probably Monday afternoon, which is why I think those snowfall totals are on the low end. Yes, I'm smack dab in the middle of the chance for some big time ice. Which is why I have not yet planned to do a live stream Sunday. Even I'm a little iffy on Saturday, but I'm sure I'll be live sometime Saturday. I enjoy the forecasting more than the covering. It used to be the other way. I used to hate the forecasting and love the covering. Now I'm opposite. I love to look at all the model data and try to forecast it, and then covering it, I'm like, eh. And then seeing what actually happens, like when it's all over and done, I like that too. But this winter storm's going to be hard to cover. I have an enormous amount of respect to anybody, like the bigger YouTubers who are going to sit here for, hey, The bigger YouTubers who are going to sit here for like literally 48, 72 hours straight. But look at that. Ice storm warnings now out for northeastern Georgia. Look at that. And I expect many more. I expect many more for these areas here. I don't know for sure the criteria in here, but definitely expecting some more in here. And then you can expect a lot more pink to be issued here. All of these areas probably going to turn to pink here tomorrow. But yeah, I'm just about done here. Again, if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button, share the stream channel with your family, friends, social media, anybody you know. It's greatly appreciated. Also, consider hitting that subscribe button with the notification bell set to all so you know when I go live or upload a video. Again, a live stream will probably be at about 1:30, 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow is the live stream planned for tomorrow. And a bit of a heads up, Lucky will be in the live stream tomorrow, and he'll give an explanation on his absence on the channel and whether or not we need to fire him. You don't know, Lucky's my best friend. He likes the weather, but he doesn't often like to talk about it for hours on end. He's not that huge on weather. He says he is, but he doesn't show it, you know? All talk, no action. You could see that by his YouTube channel. There's been many times on his YouTube channel where he's like, I'll go live tomorrow, and then 2 months later, he still hasn't done a live stream. Kid you not, I would show you my DMs, but he probably wouldn't appreciate that. I'm not going to do that as a respect for his privacy, obviously. But just going to have to trust me on this because I'm not one to lie. He literally said, should I just go live? And that was either yesterday or the day before. And it's just, nope, there ain't no live stream from him. I literally said it too. I said, Lucky, I'm done. I'm done trying to get you to go live because every time I tell you or try to help you to go live, you just don't. I got annoyed about it. But hey, it is what it is. Not everyone likes to track the weather. But I love it. I love it. Also, going back to this, I think for the winter side of things, I love to forecast it. And for the severe weather side of things, I love to cover it. Because I absolutely love doing analysis. Radar analysis, love it. Like Ben said, there's not really much you can say with a snowstorm. The forecasting part, that's what people love. How much am I going to get? What's the impacts? How long will I be without power? What's the roads going to look like? What do they look like now? That's the big thing. A radar, it's snowing. Whippy. Also, you just saw winter storm warnings just got issued. Demon, was it, or something like that? Out there, Charleston, you just got issued into those winter storm warnings. You are now inside of those winter storm warnings out there in Charleston. More of those will be issued overnight. But yeah, that's about it for me here, y'all. Again, appreciate y'all tuning in. Be back tomorrow. Just going to double check on some things. Make sure there's nothing new as I sign off. And I will catch y'all back here tomorrow. Yeah, don't pay attention to that stuff. It's funny how we are like a day away from one of the biggest snowstorms in years, and people want to go to 200 hours, 250 hours out on the GFS. I don't get it. We've got this major snowstorm, and instead of focusing on that, you want to go turn to a snowstorm potential 2 weeks in advance. Don't make sense to me. I'll take it one storm at a time. If you want to, you can go look 364 hours out on the GFS and start tracking that. Tell me how consistent it is. I'll stick with the one in the, you know, the short term here. But yeah, appreciate all the mods being here. Appreciate all of you guys for being here. If it wasn't for you, wouldn't be able to do this. Wouldn't be able to reach as many people as I can. Like I said, regardless of, you know, how many people's watching, I'm still gonna do it. But because of you, I can stream with upwards of a couple hundred people watching the stream at once, and that is awesome. So I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate you, even if you just viewed for a couple seconds, even if you're just viewing for a couple seconds right now. I appreciate it. Just you clicking on the stream helps. And I also appreciate if you do anything extra, like hitting that like button, sharing, subscribing, hitting the bell. All those little things amount to one big thing of just more and more support on the channel. So I appreciate it. Once again, I hope y'all have a fantastic rest of your, well, at this point, for some of you, it may be Thursday night, but for most of us, it is now Friday morning. So I'll catch y'all, I'll just say technically tomorrow at 1:30, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, we'll go from there, see how things are looking tomorrow. Hopefully we have a bit more confidence on that stupid dry slot. And that warm air advection. Dry slot over Arkansas, Oklahoma, and warm air advection over Tennessee. So thank you everyone for tuning in once again. Per usual, if you're new to the channel, we're going to do a 3-minute outro music song here, just so you guys have enough time to say bye in chat and finish typing whatever you'd like. And again, I will see you guys in almost 12 hours. Very close to 12 hours from now. So whatever time it is for you right now, add about 12 hours, and that's when I'll be live. So stay safe. Watch the winter weather, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. stay safe, watch the snowfall, and I'll see you guys in about 12 hours. Have a great rest of your night and or morning. Goodbye.